It's the rule of nerds.
And today we're talking all about the theories, predictions, the prophecies, everything we can do to get us to the next season of Game of Thrones.
All right, so that said, we just want to say that, of course, these theories, some of them have been debunked.
Yeah.
Some of them are still like, may happen, may not happen. Some of them might actually spoil the actual ending.
Yeah.
We're just saying that these are the fan theories that are floating around on the internet.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to hear about it,
Yeah.
this is not the video for you. But if you're curious, then watch on.
Here we go.
Okay, so let's start with one of the most common ones that have been speculated on. The one about Azor Ahai Reborn.
Yes, there are many theories because depending on who you're guessing
Yeah.
who it is, then
Yeah.
it will differ, obviously.
Yeah.
So let's jump into who exactly is the Azor Ahai.
Okay, Azor Ahai he was a hero during the Long Night. In the history of Westeros, there's this thing called the Long Night. It was a really long winter. The White Walkers came in, and he was this hero with a flaming sword who
Yeah.
went out and defeated
Lightbringer.
the Great Other. So interesting parts of his story, of course. Lightbringer. He had to forge that sword himself.
Mm-hmm.
He did it the normal way. I think it was like he took 5 days to make it, and then it didn't work. He had to do it again. It didn't work, and then he figured out that the way to really make it powerful was he had to stick it into the heart of the woman that he loved.
Nisa.
Nisa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he did that. He got the flaming sword, went out and defeated the others. Almost, he was the hero.
Mhm.
He played some hero ball, and then there's this prophecy that he would come again. He would be reborn
Okay.
as the prince that was promised.
Mhm.
Basically, he's a hero that's been he's a part of the mythology of Rulor and the Red Priests and Priestesses.
Yes.
Like Melisandre. So Melisandre is the one who has been talking about Azor Ahai Reborn. She initially thought it should have been Stannis Baratheon.
Stannis.
Yeah.
And then later on, she changed her mind. I think it has to be pointed out that the two most obvious contenders would be Jon or Daenerys.
Yeah.
But then in recent years, more and more theories have been jumping out as to who the Azor Ahai is.
Yeah.
Some are actually saying that it's Jaime
Yeah.
because the what's their language again?
Valerian.
Valerian.
Yeah.
The words Lord and Light are very similar to gold and hand.
Yes.
So Lord of the Light, golden hand, who has a golden hand, Jaime. And then of course there's the Azor Ahai is generally believed to be of the Targaryen line.
Yeah.
And then of course we all know that there are rumors that the Targaryen siblings, that the Lannister siblings are actually could be Targaryens.
Some of them, all of them, one of them.
Maybe.
There are a lot of theories out there. Basically, we have R plus L equals J.
Yes.
But there's also A plus J equals T,
Mhm.
or A plus J equals C plus
C
J.
plus J, yeah.
It's hard to do the algebra.
And then
right
there's
now.
even this really way out. There's even this really way out theory that it's the Hound.
yeah.
Yeah, because because he's supposed to be like born of smoke and salt, and
Yeah.
then the way his accident with the flame is
Yeah.
the smoke, and then he also had a thing with water and
Yeah,
drowning, that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
this is crazy as to who the Azor Ahai
This
actually
is what Melisandre said about that. Azor Ahai would be reborn again amid smoke and salt to wake dragons out of stone.
Yes.
So anytime that someone is speculating about it, you have to find connections to the smoke and the salt
Yeah.
and the dragons out of stone. Now Dany is the obvious front runner in
Yeah.
this because she woke dragons from out of nowhere. The eggs, people thought they were just pebbles or ceremonial stuff, but then she brought the dragons out.
Yeah. And with the Jaime theory, they're saying that Lightbringer could mean not a literal sword, but Jaime, because he was
Jamie himself.
Jaime himself is the light bringer, because he was reborn. You know how, like you were saying, from being a kingslayer to being the hero of the story. And then of course there's this theory that eventually it's going to be Jaime who will kill Cersei.
Yeah.
And so it's very similar to the whole Nisa part of the story, where you kill the woman you love to save mankind.
It would be interesting too that John and Danny are like the favorites for this Azor Ahai theory. And the theory says that they plunge their sword in the heart of the one they love. With the way the show is going, they kind of love each other.
Yeah.
So is John and Danny one or the other going to kill the other guy? So very interesting theory there.
Yes.
Who do you think it's gonna be?
I really think they might stick with one of the two. Yeah.
No bets which one.
I don't know. I hate guessing games like this, but your guess is as good as mine. And I guess we'll just have to see. Next up is where do we even start?
Bran. I love this one. Yeah.
Everything Bran is a theory in itself.
Yeah.
One of them is that Bran is multiple Bran. Yeah. He's like multiple man. There are multiple Brans, and all the Bran Starks throughout history, all the Brandon Starks in history is the same Bran. Yeah. And so the Bran who built the wall, the Bran
the builder, Bran the shipwright, maybe even his uncle Brandon Stark,
exactly,
the one who was burned by the Mad King Aerys.
Because remember, if he can jump here and there, then maybe he was the same Bran, just jumping to the future, the past, back and forwards.
Yeah, but the most compelling one has to be that Bran is the Night King.
Yes, that's one. Well, there's that whole, their outfits look the same, eerily the same. They say the nose looks very similar. And of course, there's also that Bran is also the one who caused this whole maelstrom to begin with.
Yeah.
Because, one, did the Mad King go mad because of Bran's time jumping? And then he could hear Bran talking when Bran didn't know that the people in the past could actually hear him. And then of course the literal effect that he had, where because he climbed that wall and saw Cersei and Jaime, and then Jaime pushing him, that also started the wheel turning. With all the terrible things that happened after that.
But so basically, the theory states that Bran has been trying to stop the White Walker invasion.
Yes.
And through his time jumping, so he tries to stop it in this age, and then because he failed, he tries to jump back into the time when they were last invading, and then he built the wall himself to keep them out, and then he fails again, and then he goes back to before the White Walkers were created, and then they were saying that scene where he watched the first man that was turned into a White Walker. You can see him clinching, like when the guy was being stabbed, as if he was feeling it. So
actually, that's one of the theories, that he warged into the human when the children of the forest plunged the dagger inside the heart, so that when he turned into the Night King, Bran was stuck inside that body, making him the Night King.
Well, maybe, but I think the Night King himself has a different lore to his story. Wasn't he a Stark who went out and married a White Walker or something?
Gosh.
So the Night King is probably not the first White Walker that was created. So that might be different there. But really,
and then there's also that, let's not forget, speaking of Bran, there's also the Bran is actually the same as the three-eyed raven, that young Bran was actually talking to old Bran when he first saw Max von Sydow. That was actually old Bran. That's another theory. This is separate from the whole Night King theory, that that's also him. He was tutoring his younger self.
I think the interesting thing here is we don't actually know what the Night King wants.
Yes.
Because George Martin, in interviews, he's spoken out about how he doesn't want his characters to be like completely black and white. Like they have they have shades of gray to them. They have their own motivations. But so far the White Walkers have been kind of they've been black.
Yeah.
Right. So
you don't know what they want. They're not talking.
We just don't know yet. Yeah. So maybe if it is Bran, maybe he's coming down and we don't know. Is he trying to warn them of some bigger problem or whatever? We don't really know because we don't know what the Night King wants.
And just to append this, since we were just done with the 7th season, there's also this new theory that it's actually Jon Snow. Not that he's the Night King, but that he will replace the Night King. There's that theory that in the last episode, the only way that he could stop or save the world is to make the ultimate sacrifice.
Yes.
To be to become sort of like a half Night King. He would be half White Walker, half human, so that he can control what goes on.
Maybe kind of like Uncle Benjen.
Exactly.
Something like that.
So maybe that's another fan theory. Now let's move on now to the 3 heads of the dragon.
The 3 heads of the dragon.
So obviously we all know that one head is Daenerys. That is a given.
Yeah.
Now who are the other 2 heads? Initially, one of the first theories that came out was that obviously the other one is Jon Snow. Who was the third one? Initially, everyone thought that it was going to be Tyrion.
Yes.
Because he's like we said, Tyrion or / Cersei Jaime are also Targaryens. Yes. Because there was this theory that
I don't think it's gonna be all 3 of them. It's gonna be either just Tyrion or just the twins. And this is such an interesting theory because so there's some hints in the book about Mad King Aerys having the hots for
Joanna.
The Mama Lannister, Joanna Lannister. Barristan Selmy, the advisor, former Kingsguard and advisor of Daenerys before he bit it in one of these last few seasons, he said that Aerys was joking about wanting to reinstitute the first night. It's a tradition back in the old days of Westeros where if you get married, the lord that you are sworn to gets first night with your wife. And he was making rude jokes like that during which Tywin didn't. He didn't like it, and he said that there were like liberties taken during the wedding ceremony that we don't actually know what happened.
And remember, that's the first night.
Yes.
So, like we said, when Tyrion joined Daenerys, everyone was talking about the whole maybe Tyrion will ride the dragon.
Yes.
And remember how he almost were able to touch the 2 chain dragons.
He unchained them.
He unchained them.
Yeah. So
now, but then after that, when you think about it, if it were like the first night, then it makes more sense that it's the older twins more than Tyrion.
And I think it would be a lot more poetic for Tywin to his only real Lannister son is Tyrion, the one that he hated the most.
Yes. And can you imagine if it's actually Jaime who rides the third dragon?
Yeah.
But all this is kind of like moot right now because all this Lannister turns out to be Targaryen riding the third dragon because of what happened. Because now we know that the second rider is definitely the Night King on the newly turned Viserion. So now it just leaves Rhaegal. And that's kind of like, it's almost like a giveaway.
Yeah.
Because Rhaegal is named after Rhaegar, the father of Jon Snow. So,
and we've seen him interact with Drogon, and Drogon kind of likes him. So
and very interestingly, if you notice, they were saying when everyone was just calling him stupid for not riding Drogon, when Daenerys was saying, "Come on, let's go," and he wouldn't ride, they say there's a little but big reason why he couldn't. Because remember, Daenerys always says that a Targaryen can only ride one dragon. You cannot ride 2. Daenerys cannot ride Viserion. She cannot ride Rhaegal.
Yeah, which is
she
why
can only ride Drogon.
When Aegon the Conqueror came before, he had his 2 sister wives, Rhaenys and Visenya, I think. they were all riding one dragon
Exactly.
because
So,
he bond with one of the dragons. So.
If Jon Snow is destined to ride Rhaegal, he cannot ride Drogon.
Right.
So it actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So but is that really it? Is the Night King is the Night King the third head of the dragon? And
we'll see, because that, I mean, we kind of lost Viserion already, so we don't know.
So he's dead. So only two heads.
He's already the.
But then the prophecy doesn't really make that much sense, does it?
We'll see. Let's see if they can tie it all up. All right. So the next theory we have is
it's about the Valonqar. So this is one of the more popular ones as well. When Cersei was younger. She went to this witch in
Maggie the Frog.
Yeah, Maggie the Frog. So she's the one who said, prophesied about her children dying,
basically,
and
they'll all be crowned.
They're all dead.
Yeah.
So maybe there's some truth in what she's saying, but the one thing that hasn't come to pass yet was the one where she said that the Valonqar shall wrap his hands about your pale white throat and choke the life from you. That's how Cersei dies.
Yeah.
Somebody chokes her out.
Yeah.
Now the Valonqar, I think in if I'm not mistaken, in High Valyrian, it means the little brother.
Yes.
So people have always assumed it was going to be Tyrion
because they hate each other.
Yes, and he's literally
little and younger. But because Cersei and Jaime are twins.
Yes.
She was still born first, so technically Jaime is still a little brother.
Some of the speculators are saying that, hey, what if it's the Hound? Because never said it was her little brother.
Right.
It could be
the
a
little brother.
So,
right.
So it might be Jon Snow.
Somebody's little brother.
But there's this very interesting detail that some people have caught in the pilot episode of this season of Game of Thrones, where that scene where Cersei is standing in that map floor.
Yes.
And then Jaime comes and joins her, and then they talk about enemies to the north, enemies to the west. Very interesting where they were standing, because Cersei was standing in the part of Westeros known as the Neck. So this is around the area, I think, that between the Riverlands and the north when you're moving up. So there's this area called the Neck. And then where Jaime was standing was at the edge, the eastern edge of the map, around where what they call in Westerosi geography as the fingers. So was this the show telling us, foreshadowing that
fingers,
Jaime was in the fingers and Cersei the neck. So it might be something like that.
And like they say in Game of Thrones, there are no such thing as coincidences.
Yes.
All right, so next up, let's stick with Cersei. There's another theory. Remember how, like we were saying, how could they bring up Gendry, such an important character, only to let him roll forever and not be heard from again?
Yeah.
Well, surprise, surprise. Season 7, we see Gendry again. And is it really just Gendry? We know that he's the bastard of Robert, but there is this theory that just like Jon Snow, notice how there are so many similarities between the two. And remember, we just found out that Jon Snow is not a bastard.
Yes.
There's this theory that Gendry is not a bastard as well.
Yeah.
That he is not just Robert's bastard, but he is the legitimate son of Robert and Cersei.
Yeah.
Because in season 1, it was revealed that Cersei had a child that died.
Yes.
And then
as a baby. Yeah.
And the child had black hair.
Yes.
And supposedly Cersei didn't like the child because it reminded her of Robert, whom she didn't love. She wanted them to be blonde like the man she loved, her brother Jaime.
Yeah.
So supposedly that child died. But what if that child survived and raised as Robert's bastard when in fact that is Gendry? Yeah. If this were the case and that Gendry is the child of Robert and Cersei, that makes him a legitimate Baratheon. And now, depending on whether you think Robert's rebellion was legitimate or not, if you think it was legitimate, then more than Jon Snow, Gendry is the rightful heir to the throne.
I think the problem that Gendry would have with that is that currently he's aligned with Jon and Daenerys.
Yes.
And Robert's rebellion was legitimate because they did it not by succession but by conquest.
Yes.
And if Daenerys gets the Iron Throne back, it's going to be by conquest as well. And it's not going to be Gendry who conquers it because he's aligned with them. So maybe we don't know what it means moving forward. But also, I think I read somewhere that this is that revelation that Cersei did was a show only revelation. I don't think that it comes
part
out
of the
in
book.
I don't know if it's part of the book.
Because this was season 1.
And this might be potentially a big thing for it to be not in the books.
Right.
So
and to bring Gendry back at the point where we are supposed to be tying up the loose ends.
Yes,
Why bring him back in the penultimate season when we're already thinking of just fighting the White Walkers?
Yeah.
I have a feeling he is about to play a bigger part than he already is.
Yeah. If in the show he does turn out to be that, I'm not sure that means anything major moving forward. I still think it,
because I think it's more than just
John or Dan.
I don't think they brought him back just to be the runner.
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, they did have to bring him back after rowing for all that time. So
next is we have Samuel Tarly is the narrator. That everything that we have seen from season 1 to the present season, or in the books, first book to the 6th, that all of this is from the point of view of Samuel Tarly.
Well, definitely not the books, because the books are first person.
So, okay, you're right.
But don't take it literally as him being the narrator.
Yeah.
But they were saying that he ends up writing the histories
of because of that conversation with
I think we have that one. Archmaester Ebros was saying that I'm not writing the chronicles of the wars following the death of King Robert the First, for it to go unread. And then Sam makes this face that he doesn't like that that title so much. So Archmaester Ebros asked him, "Well, so what would you name it then?"
Yeah,
and all he says is something a little more poetic.
Like
they never say outright that it would be a song of ice and fire.
It's just a cute little twist. They say there was a theory that at the very end, at the very last episode, it will end with Sam like closing a book, just like the old the old movies, like okay, and they lived happily ever after. The end.
I feel like it's a little too on the nose, especially given that it's part of the genre of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, which already uses that device. A Song of Ice and Fire has been known to kind of buck the traditions of that, the normal high fantasy genre. In Lord of the Rings, they do a lot of what may be considered kind of a cliche now.
Yeah.
But it originated those things. So it wasn't cliche back when they were created. And I don't think that Game of Thrones is one to just, fall into that trap of following what, the previous works have come before.
And finally, we have the White Walkers.
The White Walkers.
That they are actually the good guys.
Yeah.
And, they say that they're actually here to purge the earth of the evil that is mankind.
Oh yeah, this is the global warming theory, right?
And that they showed, basically all the seasons of Game of Thrones have just showed us how horrible humans are.
Yes.
And they're actually here just to, and there's even that theory that they built the wall.
Yes.
Not to keep them out, but to keep the humans out from whatever good is left of the world.
There is some basis for this. When in one conversation Bran had with Leaf, the children of the forest, a child of the forest that he meets when he travels up north to go to the Three-Eyed Raven. When they created that first White Walker, they were saying that they were creating them to protect the children of the forest from man. So maybe they're not aggressors. Maybe the White Walkers aren't aggressors. They're protectors.
Yeah.
And again, we've had this conversation earlier. We don't really know what they want right now. We know they're marching south. We know they take winter with them when they come. But, they're not marching south to win the Iron Throne. That's not what they want. So, probably we'll find out next season. Maybe the motivations are gonna get clearer. Maybe it's Bran. If it's Bran, then maybe there's more merit to this White Walkers are actually the good guys theory if it's actually Bran leading the way for them. So it's an interesting one for sure.
Now, there are other, there are so many other fan theories out there, all crazy. Some may be on the dot. Who knows? There's Arya is actually dead because, and this Arya we're seeing now is basically the waif wearing Arya's face. And then you have Ned Stark is really dead. He's still alive. And then there's the whole... Lady Stoneheart will still make an appearance at the end of the season. There are so many theories out there. So what about you? What are your favorite fan theories? Tell us all about it. I'm pretty sure we missed a lot. If you care to remind us, check it out over at the comment section below. Yes. And if you have any other fan theories, maybe new ones, tell us all about it. We'd love to hear all about it.
Yeah, I mean... we should be talking about fan theories because one of the biggest fan theories that the community found out turned out to be true. R plus L equals J was just a fan theory.
It was just a fan theory.
It's true now. So let us know what you guys think. Let's try to guess how this next season ends.
And remember, we have a lot of time because we have until 2019 until we get the final season of Game of Thrones. Yeah. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's The Rule of Nerds. And also check out our social media accounts, The Rule of Nerds, on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Now, for our personal accounts, you can follow me on my social media accounts at Chico Garcia over at Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
And you can follow me at M_Volante on Twitter, JM_Volante on Instagram.
Nerds out!
Here we go!